Hey, it's me, John, aka Jab, and making video number 3. It's Wednesday, August 21st, 2024. And yeah, I have a 32-inch screen, so when I'm moving my head like this, yeah, I don't have this, I have this. Anyway, um, we need to talk about consoles. So, yes, consoles have been getting better. I'm glad to see AMD on both Xbox and PlayStation consoles. Uh, it makes, I imagine, for the game developers, because I'm not a game developer, I'm a web developer, not quite exactly the same thing. And we definitely deal with different challenges, and sometimes maybe the same, maybe, I don't know. But one of the major issues is that a lot of game studios are making games for the consoles and then porting them over to PC. That's a problem because instead of having a proper keyboard and mouse, like an example, my keyboard, okay, you have a game controller. And I want to clarify this is probably the most important thing. If your game controller has, like, I guess the past 2 generations probably older, that's not a real controller. And I should have probably have untied this before I said this, but I'm just kind of doing these videos off the cuff here. But yeah, this is a real game controller. Now, why am I saying this is a real game controller? I want you to look very closely at that. What do you see there? Besides a lot of dust. That is 6 primary buttons. 6, not 4, 6. Okay? Now, what you might also notice about this game controller is there are no micro dildos on it. If you want a joystick, you get a motherfucking joystick. Okay? That's a joystick. So, the problem with these game controllers with 4 primary buttons, which is a joke, is that the game studios like Activision, that people for some reason keep calling Blizzard, there is no more Blizzard Entertainment. They are so they are so gone. Um, so basically, they're building the games, the PC games, for consoles. This is the same bullshit like in the web world where Google's like, mobile first. No. I build for my 32-inch screen first, and then for those of you who are stuck on a 4-inch phone, or, and I know a lot of people are stuck on the phones and whatnot, but those who can afford an actual computer but don't because they're dicking around with the phone, that doesn't count. I'm going to reduce the user experience for a phone, not the desktop. Desktop is way more capable. So when the problem is people are doing everything the wrong way. I mean, that's what happens when people let criminals take over society. Okay? Evil wants people to think good is evil and evil is good. Up is down, left is right. Men are women and women are men and all this other crazy stuff. No, that's BS. And anyone who disagrees is disagreeing with, like, literally the fabric of reality. But I don't want to have a metaphysical extreme conversation on that part. I just want to talk about this, the game controller. Now, this is the Microsoft Sidewinder. Back when was the early 2000s, late 1990s, and it does have a couple trigger buttons. Okay, so that would be 4, and you have an actual movement pad, whatever you want to call it. And I'm sure, yes, some of you have uses for your micro dodos on your gamepads. What they are, I don't know, because Come on, camera, you can do it. Because I work and I only get the game on occasion. But an example, Diablo 4 was Diablo 3. Actually, we go back to Diablo 3, but Diablo 4 came out recently, and I actually intend to make a Diablo 4 video about that hot trash. So, yeah, um, Diablo 2, you could use every function key. That's 12 keys. And there are some classes, some characters that you will use most of those keys. Okay. If we go back, my favorite Star Wars game was X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. Not X-Wing, not TIE Fighter, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. I would love if they um, redid the game, modernized the graphics, because see all these keys? You're going to use all those keys in X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. Okay? Not, you get 4 buttons. Have a nice day. Hey, hey. Okay? None of that bullshit. So, I think it's absolutely paramount that all the consoles moving forward have actual controllers, not these 4-button nonsense. 4 buttons is ridiculous. I mean, if you look at my mouse, an example here, I've got a few buttons. Now, I don't know how well. Let me turn on my light here. Overexposure. And I gotta wait for the camera. Come on, you could do it. All right. So you got the, left, right mouse buttons. Okay. You got the scroll wheel. The scroll wheel counts as a button. Okay. On here we've got 2 thumb buttons. We actually have a third. So my forward button is Alt Tab. The rear thumb button is Escape, and this is double click because I'm not clicking twice to do what I can click with once. And in my design philosophy, when I'm working on web stuff, if I can make something a scroll instead of a click, scrolling is less expensive energy-wise with your finger than a click. It's even cheaper and more affordable than a scroll. Move the mouse, hover. So these things are important. It's called user experience, UX. If you ever see the abbreviation, for those of you who have the World of Warcraft mentality, where 99% of the sentence is acronyms and abbreviations. So, but yeah, so Diablo 3 and Diablo 4, again, built by Activision, not Blizzard, and they limited the choices, and you can't really play the characters that way. I'm not going to go into the problems with the games themselves, but that really damaged the games in its own way. And not having sufficient control, not having enough buttons. Now, there is overkill. There definitely is overkill. I've seen, now I'm sure there are some people who like, on the side of the mouse, you have like an entire number pad, 0 through 9 or whatever. Maybe, I'm sure there are people who have actual use for that and they're just going crazy on stuff and they have actual justification. I use a macro keyboard. Where the hell are my macro keyboards? Well, why are macro keyboards? They're absolutely, probably the most important thing of my entire computer. And now instead they're releasing keyboards with less keyboard. We're gonna get to clarify what less is less, and when less is less and more is more, and when more is less and less is more. More physical woman is less. Less keyboard is less. More keyboard is more. Anyway, more buttons on controllers is more. Less buttons on a controller makes it like not a controller. So this is a joystick, not micro dildos on your gamepads. So that's it has a major effect when you don't have, as a user, enough buttons to press. because any good design means that you can press a button and it'll execute a chain of commands and you get a result. And the fewer buttons you have, the more things that you have to do as a user to produce the same result. And it's also just as important that these buttons have desirable associations with what they're doing in a game, or like my macro keys on my keyboard. The macro keys didn't come with any use, so they never caught on because you have to figure out what they're useful for. But for me, I have navigate back, navigate forward, go to the tab to the left, go to the tab to the right, close a tab, open the tab, dim the screen, brighten the screen, load on the Radeon overview, not the Control R or Alt R or whatever, but the other one that shows you like the FPS and stuff like that. So for the games I don't get to play because I don't have enough time. So, but yeah, not having enough buttons is a real issue. And I think we definitely need to see actual game controllers with at least 6 primary buttons. I don't know where else, like when you hold a controller, where are all the places that you can easily, hit a button and that's intuitive versus overkill. Because there's overkill. And where the hell are my macro keyboards? Okay. So I guess one thing at a time, but I just wanted to kind of shoot this video. I burned out on code earlier today, so I'm like, okay, I want to still be productive and get something done, and I wanted to put this out. And I think that would have, in that part, a very positive impact on the gaming community moving forward. Once we have the consoles are stop this 4-button nonsense. It is not 1980 with an arcade where adding a button is another $50 to an already however expensive. It's 4 buttons is just, there's no excuse. So anyway, thanks for watching. Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, what games have you guys played that just like you need more buttons, you need more control, and you need a dedicated button, and you don't want to hold control to press a button because control is crouch or whatever, or what software. Do you use macro keys? Have you used macro keys? Would you like to be able to press one button instead of having to do control tab to switch tab, or control shift tab to go that to that tab? Just push one button. I mean, it's when you get to use it, it's amazing. If you don't have the experience with that, and if you do have the experience with it, what did you use it for? Do you still get to use it? Let me know. Anyway, thanks for watching.